Mr. Ruppersberger.
Thank you. First thing, thank you for being here. This discussion, I think, is very important. I, too, was an investigative prosecutor with wiretaps. The majority of what we dealt with there, other than some murder and all, was drugs, and it's never going to stop. Even with the cartels right now, they were nasty. They were killers, and they do bad things to people. But they're even more sophisticated and have probably more money than we do now. Now, what I want to talk about, and I want to talk about a little bit, just a comment to Mr. Garcia. I know your background. I respect your background. You've raised some very good issues here. I would just hope that those of us on both sides of the aisle, when it comes to crime, that we really focus on what we need to do. Any good investigative prosecutor will tell you we need we need FISA. But we have to have these checks and balances, and that's what we do in Congress when you move from one role to another role. So I would call out, and I've worked with many people here, and Chairman, we've worked a lot together on international issues and this issue. My one focus that I've done a lot in my experience on the Intelligence Committee and those type of things is cybersecurity. It's a very, very serious issue. We have to deal with it. We have to be very sophisticated. China, we in 2004, we didn't realize it, but China was stealing most of our information. Thank goodness we turned it around, got with NSA, and those things are working better right now. My question, can you explain to us what going backwards? And this just drives me crazy. How can we, with all the issues that are out there, the drug issues, the international issues, how can we talk about cutting this budget to the percentage what it is? I can't think that anybody, especially who've worked in law enforcement, could let that happen where we are, and it's going to get worse. And China is ahead of us right now in a lot of areas. So we better wake up and hopefully come together on some bipartisan issues and stand up for FBI, stand up. Unfortunately, DEA doesn't have any people. DEA has never been funded properly. So one of the things you had more funding, and when FBI did get into the narcotics, the one thing we had to talk them into, they couldn't wear wingtip shoes anymore when they were investigating. But when they got in, it really increased, and then the DEA would go into the tough areas and a lot of the undercover. What do you think we need to do to working FBI and DEA to make sure that we somehow get the resources to move forward? And I want to know what impact, because this is an important message to get out to the American public, this kind of cut will do. We can talk about issues which is important, education and other things, but we're focused on this right now. What would be the impact for these cuts that we're talking about on the things that we've talked about, contract murder? We're talking about cybersecurity, these things. You've had a lot of experience, and if you could, in a very stern way, let us know how serious this is.
Well, let me take the easier question first, which is FBI and DEA. The last time I was at the Justice Department, I spent most of my time trying to iron out turf wars between FBI and DEA and elbowing each other. When I came in this time, I was really very happy to see that the two agencies work together extremely well. FBI does do some drug task forces. DEA is obviously the principal agency doing that, but they've worked out memorandums of understanding so that their investigations are deconflicted, and most of these investigations are now done on joint task forces. So I'm extremely pleased with the way in which DEA and FBI
and
work.
I agree with you. I think strike force is the best way, federal, state, and local, to move forward in this realm.
And on the question of the effects of the cuts, I'll say really what I said before, which is neither the DEA nor the FBI can really survive with the kind of cut. Well, they can survive, but they're violent crime and drug trafficking missions can't really survive if there were a 22% cut across the board in those.
Well, those of us who agree with your point of view, we need to work with you and to get the message out how serious this could be to our safety, to what could happen to the United States, especially as it's focused on China, but it's everywhere, as you know. I'll yield back.
Mr. Clyde.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers, for holding this hearing, and for Attorney General Garland for attending. In your opening statement, you said that you work to uphold civil rights.